What's up, you guys, and welcome back to the Televised podcast. My name is Anna, and today we're going to be talking about Batwoman Season 2, Episode 6, titled Do Not Resuscitate. There's really not a lot of news or anything going on at the moment. I did see that Superman and Lois got renewed for Season 2, which I think is something that I was totally expecting. Despite the really low ratings that they had on their premiere, I figured it would get a second season, especially because they've dumped so much goddamn money into it. But I don't really want to talk about it too much. I just want to mention that because, I mean, unfortunately, I expected it, so I'm not surprised in the slightest that happened. I don't think I really think there's literally no other news, nothing. I mean, we finally saw a picture of Melissa behind the scenes of Supergirl out shooting, and there's no bangs. So it's confirmed, no bangs, and pants this season. I'm so excited, so thrilled. I mean, the bangs were fine, especially once they grew out, but like in the beginning, they were so short. And I have bang related trauma, so I just didn't like the bangs. So I'm really excited about that. That is sick. Yeah, so I guess let's just get into it. In the beginning of this episode, we start with this like lab experiment. They're working with a synthesized version of the Desert Rose, and there's this kid who was part of the original people who got bit and then got administered the cure. So he was in there, and then there was this other old guy who apparently had this same form of cancer. I think they said leukemia. And so they gave the guy that had the cancer this synthesized version of the Desert Rose, and he started coughing up blood and he died. It was really, really bad. So like obviously it seems that the Desert Rose just cannot be synthesized, and they can't figure it out. They can't figure out how to make it. So there's this guy with a bolo tie, and I don't even remember his last name. I'm just going to call him Bolo Tie Doctor because that is so funny that he's wearing a bolo tie. He looks like a villain out of a Western. Anyway, so Bolo Tie Doctor offers this psych patient a chance to steal the Desert Rose from wherever it came from. And obviously, since no one knows about Coriana, we can all assume where this guy is headed. Hamilton Dynamics. But we'll find out, kind of stuff about that later. So Ryan, then we see her as Batwoman out in the field. She's beating the shit out of some criminals, but that wound, that kryptonite is really, really bothering her, and she's in a lot of pain, and she actually snaps at Luke and turns off her comms, and she eventually ends up in the hospital, and Angelique is there with Ryan to go to the hospital with her. And Angelique actually talks about implicit bias in this scene, which is really interesting because it's like, yeah, it's totally true, but and I was glad to see her standing up for Ryan in that way. They kind of have this like coupley moment that I don't know, I like them. I'm going to talk about them a bit more later about kind of some of the critiques that people have of them, and also what I think of their relationship, where it stands right now, or where it stands at the end of the episode. I'm going to talk about that later. But as of right now, I really like that Angelique is standing up for Ryan, and she offers to pay for Ryan's blood work because this doctor's like, oh my god, what the hell is that? And she's like, I got bit by a spider. And he's like, your insurance doesn't cover blood work. So Angelique was like, okay, I'll pay for it. I don't care. Just get it done. And so Ryan then, after the doctor kind of walks away and she gets the opportunity to go get some blood work done pretty soon, Ryan's like, listen, Angelique, you got to get out of this business, because Angelique's phone was blowing up from obviously people wanting snakebite, people wanting what she has to offer. And Ryan is like, yeah, you gotta get out of this business, you have to. But Angelique just kind of like brushes her off, and she ends up leaving the hospital and assumedly pays for Ryan's blood work, because we do get a scene where Ryan gets the results of those blood work. But she's like, I gotta go, there's something and I need to go. after kind of saying like, look, I can't just get out of this business, you know? And I understand, like, it's hard to get out of these kind of criminal situations because she says, look, I've got dirt on so many people, so many celebrities, so many A-listers. You think they're just going to let me leave? Like, you know, Angelique is kind of playing the trapped card a bit here. So Alice and Ocean are actually hanging out in an abandoned like subway car, and she accuses Ocean of being involved in Kate's disappearance because of what Sophia had told her. Because remember, Sophia was like, look, whoever sent you this note that has the like lipstick written on it that says, you know, I killed Kate or whatever, or payback or whatever it said. Sophia had told Alice, you need to find this guy, this specific guy named Ocean, and he's the one who did all of this to you, whatever. And Alice kind of is now putting the pieces together and being like, listen, I don't think that he did this. And Ocean actually makes to leave, like he's gonna try and leave. But Alice pleads for him to stay so that they can both get their memories back and also just kind of stick together to protect each other. She points out, she's like, look, these many arms of death, guys, it's called many arms of death because there's a lot of arms, bro. Like, we need to stick together because there's more coming, no matter what we do. And so Alice kind of, she kind of puts together the pieces of, like, jealous Sophia. Like, she tells Ocean, look, we had a thing. And then Sophia, like, erases our memories and, like, drops us off of Coriana and we forget everything. Like, don't you think that's suspicious? Like, don't you think that's suspect? And it's really interesting to hear that. Like, you know, to hear Alice put these pieces together, and also to see her genuinely care for Ocean. It's like she's searching for a connection that she doesn't have to anybody. I mean, it's the truth. She had a connection to Kate, but then it was severed last season, and then also Kate's missing. She had a connection to Mouse, but she killed him. So it seems like she's just desperately reaching out for any kind of connection that she could possibly have to anybody. And Ocean is one of those people. And she wants so desperately to find the rest of her memories, to uncover the rest of her memories so that she could feel connected to someone or something. And I really like it. I know that I complained about Straight Alice before, but I do like their dynamic a lot. I do think that they have an interesting relationship, and it only continues to get more interesting at the end of the episode. So Mary and Jacob are actually riding in a car together, and Mary says that Jacob's lawyer is a scumbag because he's trying to make him declare Kate dead. And she's like, look, he convinced you of that with Beth, and look where that turned out. Like, this guy is terrible. You shouldn't listen to him. And they get a call from Sophie, and they find out that this Jack Napier painting is fake. Sophie's crows did a test and found out that it's actually the pig's, like, guts or whatever on the painting. It's not human. Coming to the same conclusion, obviously, that the Bat team had already come to. So Sophie knows, she kind of puts all the pieces together and says, okay, well, Ocean has the original. Ocean is the one who did this forgery. Ocean has the original. Ocean is connected to everything currently. And then, holy shit, Mary and Jacob get hit by a huge truck and they get kidnapped by the psych patient hired by the bolo tie doctor. So Sophie, continuing on this lead of Ocean, visits Ryan at the holdup. It's closed, and Ryan makes a point to say that multiple times. She says, we're closed, get out of here. And Sophie's like, I need to ask you something. And Ryan calls Sophie Crofy, and that was literally so funny. And Sophie basically asks Ryan to bug Angelique's phone, to, like, take this I don't know, some kind of, like, weird technological thing where you just set it on the phone and it, like, turns your phone into a microphone and, like, a tracker and all kinds of stuff. And she's like, I need you to do this because, look, I've got this whole case on your girlfriend right here. I've got everything that I need to put her in jail right now. And if you don't do this, then that's exactly where she's gonna go. So I need you to find out where Ocean is through Angelique. You need to get her to rat out her plug. And Ryan, she is obviously very scared about the idea of Angelique going to jail. Like, she doesn't want that. She, like, that's the last thing that she wants for her girlfriend, but also she doesn't want to bug her phone. So she says that she'll get Sophie the info, but she wants immunity for Angelique from literally everything. She wants Angelique to be immune from any kind of threat of jail or any kind of case from the Crows. And also, she's like, I'm not going to bug the phone. Like, let's get that straight right here. But I will help you because you're going to be helping Angelique. Period. So with Jacob and Mary, they're actually at her clinic and they're tied up and Mary has to play dumb about the whole thing. And we all know how good Mary is at playing dumb. So this guy wants the antidote, but Mary says that there's none left. And this guy's legitimately like off of his rocker. Like he's messed up and he's definitely dangerous. And this scene is so great, not for that guy, but for Mary, because she pours her damn heart out, but she just can't make this guy any more of this antidote. She's like, look, I've tried. Don't you think that I would put everything that I could into trying to replicate this serum? Like this serum that saved me but couldn't save my mom. Like, you know, don't you think that I tried to synthesize it in any kind of way? Like she tells him all about the clinic and about the situation with Alice. Like Jacob didn't know any of this. Jacob didn't know that Mary was poisoned too. He had no idea that Alice gave Mary a cure and that it was her mom's idea for Mary to take it. Like Jacob had no idea that any of this was going on, or that Mary got kidnapped by that vampire villain from last season, or that she got her blood drained, basically, and that Alice stole it, and that's how she got the antidote. He didn't know any of this. And Mary finally kind of admits to Jacob, like, look, this clinic is my clinic, and I've been working here for 2 years, and that's what's happening. And I loved this moment between the two of them, especially because it's like it's such an interesting reveal, because it's Jacob has just had to, in the past like year, find out that his one daughter that he thought was dead but has been missing for so many years is actually like Gotham's most wanted killer and crazy loon. Not crazy loon, but like, you know, Gotham's most wanted, basically. And then he finds out that his other daughter is Batwoman and that she's missing now too, and that everyone else was in on it and that everybody knew. And then also, I mean, he lost his wife. Like, that's not good either. And now he's finding out that Mary had a whole secret life as well, like had a whole secret thing that she was doing. And Mary's like, look, you were always paying attention to Beth and to Kate and to my mom and to the Crows, and you never had time for me. You never had time to look at me or pay attention to me or care about me more than, you know, saying I love you at the dinner table. How couldn't you know? Like, you know, how obviously you wouldn't know what's happening in my life, what I'm doing down here, that there even is a down here to do anything, you know? And I thought the moments with Jacob and Mary this episode were just so damn heartbreaking and I don't know, just so upsetting. I'm like, holy shit, like, oh my God. And I'm glad, I'm not glad to see Mary's heart get broken, obviously, or like to, you know, watch Mary be hurt in the way that she was this episode, but I just love to see this like emotional development for Mary, because honestly, on a lesser show, Mary would kind of be that like the like comedic relief sort of kind of character, where, you know what I mean, like just maybe not fully developed. Like she's kind of the best friend. She could have ended up being the best friend like archetype, where yeah, she's like she's funny and she's comedic relief, but she doesn't actually get much that's emotional, you know, and she could have turned into that, but she isn't, and she's fully well-rounded and complicated and broken, just as broken as the rest of them. And I love that so much, and I was so excited to see Nicole Kang kind of get to like flex a little bit this episode, because she just was so heartbreaking and so devastating, and I loved it. It was so good. So then we actually go back to Ryan and Angelique, and they're in Kate's apartment, and we find out that Ryan's plant, who she like kind of it has as a stand-in for her mom, was actually from Angelique. She then offers Angelique a job at the Hold-Up, but Angelique is like, you're so sweet, but I don't want to work there. And she tells Ryan that she likes her job. She likes dealing, and she likes being powerful. She likes having all of this dirt on all of these people. She likes being respected, because she feels like she's very respected in this profession, I guess you could call it. But she likes that, and she wants Ryan to just kind of get off of her back and accept that this is what she's doing and this is how she's making her money right now, and that she likes it and she doesn't want to get out. And they have a fight, and in the middle of their fight, Ryan has this horrible episode from the kryptonite where she, like, the room is spinning and everything is spinning, and she can't stand, and Angelique runs to the bathroom to go get Ryan's antibiotics that she's supposed to be taking, and Ryan tells her the wrong place to look. Ryan tells her that they're under the sink, and Angelique is rummaging around under the sink. While she's doing that, Ryan's episode kind of clears up, and she ends up bugging Angelique's phone, because she knew that there was no other way to get her out of this business. You know, she knew that if she couldn't reach out to her personally and say, hey, I need you to get out and I got you a job and we're going to be okay, that when Angelique refused, she knew that she would have to use that device that Sophie gave her. Because ultimately, Ryan is only concerned with keeping Angelique out of jail. And that's the thing, is like, Ryan obviously knows what jail is like. She's been to jail. She spent 18 months in jail, and she doesn't want Angelique to have to go through that, the experience of being in jail, but also the experience of having to leave jail and come back into the real world. And Angelique is like, look, you know, we're all not so lucky that we get this new life and we get this new whole thing. Like, you're in this new apartment and you've got these new friends and you've got a new job. Like, we don't all get that when we leave the shelter. And Ryan, I mean, she is kind of not necessarily guilty of that, but she wants to take what she has and just like bring Angelique into it. And Angelique's not down for that, which is really interesting. But so she bugs her phone anyway, and Sophie gets what she wants and hands over the file on Angelique, confirming that she won't be building a true case against her, and she says, consider this misfiled. Then Sophie says something so important. She says something so important to this, not only just this episode, but to the entire season so far, and kind of what I kind of said, but I'm so glad that the show is acknowledging it. So Sophie says, quote, I know you're right back in the same situation you've already served time for. And so Ryan is like, look, I'm doing this for love, whatever. But that line is so important because it's Sophie calling out the fact that Ryan is kind of like regressing at this moment, that Ryan is falling back on old habits. She's falling back into these potentially toxic and dangerous situations when she should be getting her life together. Which, I mean, if you remember a couple of episodes ago, that was my concern when Angelique came back into Ryan's life, that she would be regressing or, you know, putting herself back in undesirable situations, especially when she's meant to be getting her life together post jail and since becoming Batwoman. But the thing was that when that happened, when I said that, I didn't know that the show was going to go full force in acknowledging it. That's the thing, is like, people have issues with Ryan and Angelique because of the history of the two of them. Angelique put Ryan in jail, basically. Angelique is a drug dealer. She's remnants of Ryan's past. She's dangerous and she's not good news. The thing is, like, those are people's critiques of their relationship. And yes, that's all true. But also the show acknowledges that, which is something that other toxic relationships didn't do. When you think about like Kara and Mon-El, the show always put Mon-El up on a pedestal and made all of his actions seem okay. I mean, the perfect example is when he was yelling at Kara in the middle of the DEO, in the middle of her place of work, about being jealous and whatever, and that huge fight. But then there was this like comedic music underneath of it because the show wanted you to think that it was funny that he was demeaning his girlfriend in the middle of his place, in the middle of her place of work. The show wanted you to think that that was funny, that this fight was funny and comedic and oh my god, haha, lover squirrel, like, you know. But with Ryan and Angelique, the show acknowledges that the two of them, you know, aren't exactly meant to be together, or that Ryan herself is not in a good situation. The show acknowledges that. Hell, Sophie acknowledges that, literally verbally. She's like, look, you kind of are going back into a bad place. Are you sure this is what you want to do? And like I said, for the show to acknowledge that, it puts even more faith for me in this story, because now that Sophie has said that and we've seen this kind of like blow up fight between Ryan and Angelique, the only payoff for this fight is either Angelique fully turns her life around and they actually give the two of them a chance to be together, or she doesn't turn her life around and Ryan has to make the active choice to move on and to live a better life and to put her new life ahead of Angelique, like to put that as a higher importance than Angelique, which I thought was just so cool and so wonderful. And I think, like I said, the acknowledgement of it on the show itself presents an awareness of this relationship and what it means for Ryan as a character, and we can only see growth from here. And that's what's so exciting, is that this relationship is so well written. You know, no one is asking you to say that Ryan and Angelique are relationship goals or that they're like the peak of healthy relationships, because they're not. But every time that they've fought, it's been very much equally matched. You know, it's not been one yelling and another like crying. It's like they've both kind of like gone at each other. Equally matched fights where you can tell that both of them genuinely care about each other, and that's why they're fighting, because they care so much about each other. And so it's not some kind of like toxic abusive relationship. It's just two people who are trying to find the same footing but in their new lives, like on new terrain, and they can't quite make it work. And I love that, and I'm so excited to see it play out, because I mean, like I said, a lot of the times, you know, shows won't acknowledge that. They will just like present this unhealthy relationship as something good or something funny or something cool. But this show is showing like, hey, Ryan is kind of going back into a bad place, and I need you as the audience to understand that Ryan and Angelique's relationship is not something to be desired for right now. I mean, obviously, like I said, it can change. Maybe Angelique's arc for this season is that she totally turns her life around and then they get to try it again. I mean, I'd be totally down for that too, because that means that Angelique cares enough about Ryan to like change herself and change her life and care enough about herself to put herself in a better place to be better for Ryan. I don't know. So I think this relationship is so interesting and I'm so excited to see it play out the rest of the way. So in this moment also with Sophie, Ryan says something about love and she's like, well, you've never been in love, whatever. And Sophie's like, yeah, I have. Yeah, I have. And Ryan's like, well, and now you're alone. So, and it definitely cuts deep for for Sophie. And it's like Ryan is out here using Batwoman's knowledge of Sophie against Sophie. Like, because Ryan obviously is Batwoman and Sophie told Batwoman that Kate is the love of her life and she's got to find her back. But Ryan is out here like, now you're alone. You don't have anyone that loves you. You loveless Crofy. Like, I'm like, Ryan, she needs to be better at hiding her secret identity. At this point, she's worse than Kara, and that's saying something. So she gets a call though from the hospital after Sophie leaves, and she gets the results of her blood test. And he's like, "Look, I need you to come back in and get a new blood test because we think that your sample was contaminated." And Sophie's like, not Sophie, Ryan. She says, "Contaminated? Like with what? Why? What did they look like?" And he's like, you've got like so much radiation in your blood, and unless you've been to Chernobyl, like this is not normal and definitely a mess up on the lab's part. Like, come on in, we'll give you a call, to get this checked out. And so it definitely begs a lot of questions about kryptonite, because kryptonite's not supposed to affect humans. I'm like, okay, I need Caroline and like somebody from Supergirl to sit down together and be like, okay, we need to figure out our kryptonite rules because this is ridiculous. But anyway, so the back with Mary and Jacob. So this crazy guy, he stabs Jacob, he threatens Mary to make more of the serum, and Mary, this is when she does confront Jacob and say, like, he's always been focused on Beth, the Crows, Kate, and that she's never been on his radar. And she ends up telling this guy about Coriana and about where the serum came from, that it came from the Desert Rose and it comes from this island called Coriana. So Ryan is in the Batcave and she's reading up on kryptonite, and Luke and Ryan have this conversation. Luke admits to letting Alice go, which makes Ryan so angry, and it's kind of funny because it's like she can't get over how all of these people's loyalties to Kate and their need to get her back just makes them ignore all of their morals. Like, and that's such an interesting conflict because obviously Ryan doesn't have any kind of emotional connection to Kate. So she's like, hey, if Alice is in front of me, I'm going to kill her. Like, I'm going to call the police on her. I'm going to kill her. I'm going to, take care of her because her gang killed my mom. I don't care about where Kate is, honestly. Like, she's at that point. And it's interesting because it's something that we really speculated on before the season started. Like, why is Ryan supposed to care about all of these people? How is she supposed to connect to all of these people? And I think it's really good storytelling that they are kind of pointing out the hypocrisy of these characters through Ryan by saying, look, Alice is like dangerous and she's a wanted criminal and you're working with her and I don't like that. And it's all because of Kate, and everything comes back to Kate. And that's also kind of the show calling itself out as well. Lots of focus on Kate when she's not even there anymore and presumably is, if anything, only going to make a cameo appearance as a comeback. And Ryan's like, everything's about Kate, and it's interesting because, yeah, it is. Like, the show is making itself about Kate, but also about Ryan at the same time. So then Mary calls Luke with a bunch of signifiers to alert Ryan and Luke that she's in trouble. She even says bat out of hell, or something like that. I think it was that. But Ryan ends up collapsing before she can even put the bat suit on to go to Mary, and she ends up having to fess up to Luke about the kryptonite wound. And Ryan says that the reason that she didn't want to say anything is because she didn't want Luke to doubt her abilities. But she ends up bulldozing ahead in order to save Mary because she loves Mary. And she's not just going to sit by and let Mary get hurt just because of a wound, and Luke is like, but like a kryptonite wound. And she's like, I'm not going to let Mary sit around and get hurt. Like, I've got to go. Back with Alice and Ocean, they try to piece together their affair, and Alice ends up calling who she thought was Tatiana, but Sophia actually answers. And Alice is like, look, you need to put my memories back right now. I don't care, put them back. And Sophia says, she's like, look, I can tell you whatever you want, but it's gonna make the killing of Ocean so much harder. She's like, look, I'm not a psychopath. I'm not gonna make you kill your lover when you remember your affair. Like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not that mean. So you can either get your memories right now and have to kill someone you really care about, or you could just kill someone you don't care about and not be any the wiser. And I love Sophia. She is so evil, but she's so cool. She's such a cool villain. And she basically tells Alice, look, I need him dead either way, so whatever works for you works for me, buddy. And Alice and Ocean actually fight in this scene too, so they see these flashbacks together constantly and they remember their affair. And then Sophie ends up catching them because she has tracked down Ocean from Angelique's phone. Obviously, after Ryan put the bug on it, she gets the information and she shoots the gun like between them into the train to like show that she means business. And Ocean ends up burning the guts off of the painting to reveal the map to Coriana. Sophie she's actually tasked with being Ryan's backup, and Ryan now wants to go to Coriana as well because she realizes, hey, this thing can cure my kryptonite wound, so I need that, like, ASAP. And so it's revealed then that it was actually Hamilton doctors who messed up this guy who's holding Jacob and Mary hostage and did some really messed up experiments on him. Like, cut his brain open, like put UV light on it, just like did everything they could to try and fix him because he has these mood swings and these I don't remember what he said that they were, but it was like he feels the wrong emotions during the wrong times and he can't control it. And Ryan promises to protect Sophie while Jacob and Mary flee. And Ryan, while she's kind of like, 'cause she's fighting with this guy and he like gets her in the wound and she's like, shit, oh my God. And there's an adrenaline shot apparently in the bat suit. She gets shot up with some adrenaline and she saves Sophie, who is being held hostage currently by the bolo tie guy. And they hand over the map to Coriana, to this bolo tie guy. Very concerning, very terrible. And Mary actually says, but we're the Bat Team. And Luke says not to her, or maybe it was the other way around. But anyway, Luke admits that Ryan has done a great job while also being sick and admits that Ryan's a hero. He's like, look, if somebody is out here with a throbbing radioactive kryptonite wound and they're still out here saving the city, then if that's not a hero, I don't know what is. And it was really cool to see Luke. It seems like finally he's on Ryan's team. And I know that I've said that for the past like 3 episodes and then they keep fighting in the next episode. But it does kind of seem like he's genuinely finally going to be on Sophie's team, which is really exciting. Or not Sophie's team, sorry, Ryan's team, which is really exciting. And so Mary comes to visit Jacob in his office at the Crows, and Jacob threatens to shut down Mary while also totally shitting on her mom. And Mary actually says, "Is this what being a dad means to you?" And she also says, "I liked you better when you acted like I didn't exist." Ouch. And that's, oh my God, so heartbreaking, because Mary obviously feels like she helps so many people. And she does help so many people in her underground hospital. Like she says, look, these people don't have insurance. These people can't pay for anything that they need. And so they don't go to the doctor. And so they die like on the street, you know. But with my clinic, they come and they get treated and I help people. And that's something that Gotham General can't say. And Jacob's like, but look, it's still illegal. You still are not a practicing doctor. You don't have a license. You have these narcotics that you are in possession of. Like, he's like, I could arrest you right now on like 6 charges, Mary. But she storms out and she's angry, and I think rightfully so. And so in the Crow's office, Sophie is listening in on Angelique and Ryan's conversation. Angelique knows about the bug, and she says that once it was on her phone, she kept hearing static and that her apps weren't working and all kinds of stuff. And she's like, look, my tech guy thinks he got it out, but he'll never know for sure, you know? And tells Ryan that she had a choice. And Ryan says, no, I didn't have a choice. You gave me no choice. And Angelique's like, you had a choice though. You did. And so they fight about Angelique potentially going to prison, you know, and Ryan just wanting to keep her out of prison. And she says, you are the only person that knows me. And Angelique ends up running out on Ryan, and it seems very much like a breakup, you know. And Sophie, watching Sophie's reaction to the two of them was so heartbreaking, because she looked absolutely devastated. And I think she was thinking about Kate and maybe even Julia. You know, she was thinking about these relationships that she had in her own life that she kind of messed up because of her own fears or her own situation or her own grudges or whatever. And to watch her kind of break up another couple and make another person unhappy, it was really upsetting. And I'm excited to see where that thread kind of leads, because I don't know, I'm just intrigued to see where it goes. The ending was really interesting. So we see Alice, and she calls Sophia, and she's like, look, okay, I've got Ocean, and he's dead. So, because she like stabs him, he's sleeping on the train, she stabs him in the chest. And then, whoa, out of nowhere, actual Ocean comes out and onto the train from, like, you know, the subway area. And Alice is like, haha, we fooled her. Like, because I mean, I don't know why that was such a surprise. Like, because when she stabbed him, I was like, oh my God, she stabbed Ocean. She's siding with Sophia. Oh my God. And then, of course, Ocean walks out, and I'm like, oh my God, duh. She switched his face. Like, she made this guy, this dead body, a new face. Duh. And so I don't know why it was such a surprise. Was everyone else surprised? I was surprised. But yeah, so that's the episode though. I had a really good time with this episode. I thought it was really fun. Obviously devastating to see Ryan be so hurt, and then to watch her relationship with Angelique kind of come undone. It was really sad, and like I said, lots of good stuff for Mary. Not good in the sense of like, oh, it's a good thing that, you know, it wasn't good, but it was well written. Lots of well written stuff for Mary this week. Really enjoyed that. And also, I mean, I gotta hand it to Alice and Ocean. I really liked their stuff this week too. I think that they were really enjoyable to watch, and that's saying something, because Straight Alice is still pretty devastating. And that's all that I've got for this week. That's the episode. If you let me know what you think about the episode in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed my recap of the episode. You can tweet me also at TelevisedPod. Let me know what you think. And you can, you know, like, share, rate, subscribe, do all the things. Oh, really quick too, I wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone who's watched my Supercorp video, like my big extensive Supercorp video on YouTube. it just hit 10,000 views, which is crazy. Obviously my most viewed video literally ever. I can't fathom that 10,000 people have seen that video. I worked so hard on it, and I'm so glad that it resonated with a lot of people, and I hope that it getting traction, you know, means that maybe someone important saw it, or that it changed some minds or whatever. But I do want to thank everybody who's watched it on YouTube, and obviously everyone who's listened on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. But just because it hit 10,000 views on YouTube, I do want to give a special thank you to anyone who's watched. And yeah, so I will see you guys next week. Bye.